welcome back to Wounded on Sixes. Today we're going to be reviewing some changes to my competitive Haloscreed detachment list for the Adeptus Mechanicus. I've gotten a chance to play this list a few times now, have made some changes. Definitely a couple of changes have been made, probably more to come, but I've really enjoyed the way the list is played. So far I am 2-1-1, so 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie with this list are similar. So I'm going to go over what I have and why the units are in there, what I like to do with them, and then kind of just go over some like theories that I have with strategy when it comes to the Haloscreed. So first we're going to have a unit of Vanguard, and they are just going to have their carbines. We're going to have 1 arc rifle in there for some anti-tank shenanigans. It looks like I have 2 in there, but there's only supposed to be 1. Then we have 2 units of Rangers. Each one is going to have a arc rifle and a trans arquebus for some precision shots, but mostly these guys are not going to be attacking. One of them is going to have the techno-archaeologist. So I think 3 is kind of the magic number for Scari, because really we don't need them to hit. We just need them to be battle line and perform buffs for our units. So that's really what they're there for. We're going to have the 1 unit of Rangers with the techno-archaeologist, kind of screen out our backfield, make sure that we're not getting deep strike threats there. The other unit of Rangers is usually going to head toward our natural expansion objective. They're going to get that 6-inch scout move, and then they're also going to be able to provide whatever buffs to units that are hanging out in our natural expansion. And then we're going to have a unit of Vanguard. These guys are usually going to start in the middle and work their way up with a lot of the tanky melee units that we're going to go over here. So that's really what they're here for. I think 3 is the magic number. You could probably go with 4, but we're really tight on points because of the way the list construction is. So I think 3 is perfect. You know, if you want to add more Vanguard, you can, but the way the points work out, I think that the Rangers are just more effective because we don't need these guys to be damage dealers. We need them to hang out in the backfield, hold objectives, do actions, and provide buffs. That's really all they're here for. We're not really using them for screening outside of the techno-archaeologist. We then got a unit of Scari Infiltrators. Again, just here to screen out usually our natural expansion, depending on the map. They don't last long. They're very squishy, but you know, they're good early action doers out in the middle of the board, preventing our opponent from jailing us right away, and you know, being able to do an early sabotage, an early cleanse, those kinds of objectives. They're just fantastic for that. And then we got 1 unit of Rusties. They're going to have their transonic blades. Those are the ones with the 5 attacks, strength 5, -1, 1 damage, devastating wounds, and precision. And I've slowly but surely cut down on the amount of Stalkers that I have in my list. They're a hard unit to make work. They're very squishy. They cannot take a clap back. Like, they need to go into a unit, blend that unit, and then be expected to get blended back. They're only 150 points, so if they can cripple or destroy a unit at their cost or better, great on them. If not, they kind of fade. And that's why I've gone from 20 to 15 to now 10. Again, who knows? Future iterations, there may not be any Stalkers, but we don't really have a great substitute right now for them. So it's kind of like, this is what we got. Again, we do have some Electro Priest. I don't know if that's the answer, but right now we're sticking with the Rusties. We then have a unit of Breachers with the Manipulus. This guy is going to have the stratagem to give them both Doctrina Imperatives at the same time, which is going to be super effective because they're going to be able to use their shooting attacks and their melee attacks both at the same time. They're also going to get lethal hits from the guy. These guys are really good because they're infantry. They can move through terrain. They're T6. I mean, they are squishy when they get attacked, but they can destroy things way above their threat range. You know, bigger tanks, their anti-vehicle 2-ups, wounds. It's just really good. And if we can get them in range of Scari, they're re-rolling their entire hit roll. So I may be looking to add 3 more here and go with 6 breachers and do some moves. We'll talk about changes I'm thinking about doing, but I'm really, really excited about the breachers right now. Moving on, we have a unit of Taurasi Sky Stalkers here. They're always going to be starting in Deep Strike. You can kind of use them to move block. You can use them to steal an objective away. They're good at getting behind enemy lines, engaging all fronts. Extremely squishy. They do have a shoot and scoot move, which is pretty decent. You can get into combat with them, but they won't last long. So really use them sparingly. Again, they're really just there for points. I don't really see them as an effective combat unit, but you can do some cheeky stuff with them, and they're still making their way onto the list. Moving over here now, we have a unit of 4 Robits, as I like to call them, the Robitsons here. And although they're not modeled this way, I run them with each with a Castellan Fist, each with a Castellan Phosphor Blaster, and each with a Heavy Phosphor Blaster. That gives them the most amount of attacks possible. Yes, they lose Twin Linked on a lot of that stuff. And because this list mostly wants to be in Conqueror, the shooting attacks aren't great, but the fact that we're maximizing them, plus that Heavy Phosphor Blaster ignores cover along with the Castellan Phosphor Blaster, and it's also damage 2, that Heavy Phosphor Blaster. I'd rather lose the Twin Linked on the Fist or not take the Flamers to get that extra punch, because this unit cost a lot of points with the Datasmith giving them the dyad wafers to make them super effective here. So I think you need to have as much damage as possible. Putting them in, making sure to put them into the Conqueror protocol so you're getting extra attacks on your Fist. Also being in the Conqueror Doctrine a lot, it's going to allow us to hit better. And these guys can do some work, but you have to be careful with them because dedicated anti-tank will lift them off the board pretty quick. They're a 2-up save with a 5-up invul. They have their refractor field, but it's not against dedicated anti-tank. They can fold up quick if you start failing some saves. So you gotta make sure you're getting your money's worth with this unit. Sometimes they may not feel worth it because it's 425 points for the package with the Datasmith to make them functional. Part of me is like, do I really want to be spending almost a quarter of my army on that? So far, they've been fairly effective. I've seen them be better more times than not be good. So in that respect, I think that they're a fine unit. And I think with some more fine tuning and practice, they can become a really devastating unit. I mean, I saw them last night pick up an entire unit of Sword Brethren and Helbricht in one slash. Yeah, it was really good rolls. Probably couldn't recreate that every time, but this unit can slap and slap other melee units hard. I mean, a strength 12, -3 if you're in Conqueror near battle line, 3 damage on those fists can get pretty nasty indeed. And you can also give them the Halo over, or you can give them the eradication protocols to get rerolls on their hit rolls and wound rolls if you want. So a lot to invest in this unit, but I think it's still really, really good and I can really put a wallop in. I don't see adding any more than 1 because you can't buff the second one. Moving on, I got a unit of 2 Dragoons. I've really kind of liked the Dragoons. Again, they need a certain target priority, but they get natural advance and charge. They have sustained hits too, and lance, so they're a great target for our crit on 5 stratagem. And they also have data tether, so we can roll a 5-up to get that CP back. And because they do all their damage in the fight phase, we can, use that crit on 5 strat in the shooting and fight phase and use it with our friends, the 3 Iron Striders with their Cognis Las Cannon. So these right here are my main crit on 5 targets in the list here. And what's great about them is they all have data tether, so we can try to get those CP back. I've seen it work out for me. Like if you time it right, where you use the crit on 5 on the Ballistari, roll a 5-up to get it back, and then you get an extra CP to put a eradication protocol on your Rust Stalkers or something. That's been like a great combination. And there's a lot of little combos you can do with that. Again, though, target priority is everything. I've made some great choices with the with the Dragoons, and I've made some bad choices just to see how good they would do. They're not great against bigger vehicles, even with the Lance. You're usually only wounding on 4s, and they're only 2 damage each. So it's kind of hard to get through bigger vehicles, but, you know, elite infantry, smaller vehicles, T7, T8, you know, the Lance can be really effective, but I think you really want to try to drive this into more elite infantry and try to spike those crits on 5s. Finally, we have 2 units of Scorpius Disintegrators. Both are going to be rolling with the Thermite Cannon. They get +1 to hit against monsters and vehicles, so we can comfortably sit in the Conqueror Doctrine and still get +1 to our hit rolls on our main anti-tank piece. So this list has, again, the way I like to build my list is build damage profiles for the Gambit. You know, make sure you have your damage 1, your damage 2, your damage 3, your D6, your dedicated anti-tank. And that's what these guys provide us. They're fantastic for giving them the Halo Override, giving them stealth, a T10, 2-up save, in cover with stealth. It can be very, very difficult to move these guys, and they can be very deadly. Not just with the Thermite Cannon, but they also have the missile disruptors, which are pretty good. And then they get 3 rapid fire, 3 sustained hits, Stubbers as well. Again, they're only strength 4, no AP, but they can put a hurt on some light infantry. So these things are absolute gunboats, and they're fantastic. And they really help bring the list together. So all in all, I'm really impressed with the list. And what I would say about it is, you know, we're still trying to find our identity here when we're playing with the list. The list feels, this half of the list feels like you can bully the field. Whereas this part of the list feels very squishy, needs to be finessed a lot. So there's this odd juxtaposition. I think that if you're going to play Haloscreed, it would be good to come up with some workflow or direction trees for yourself. You know, if you go first, what are you going to choose? Who's going to be your targets? There's just so many options that you have to pre-program into your army before you go, that you need to know what you're doing with that part of your army prior to getting started. So it's really important that you go in with a game plan. Definitely want to be able to make changes on the fly, but you need to have a game plan here, and you need to remember all the interwoven buffs. AdMech is a synonymously difficult army to play because it is very technical. And this is as technical as 9th edition was, I would say. And to play it well means you need to practice a lot. So I would say if you're going to pick up the Haloscreed, definitely don't be afraid to experiment, but definitely have a plan in mind of what you want to do. What I'm looking to do is kind of get my units into position and then sit in the Conqueror Doctrine and do as much damage with my melee threats like my Dragoons, my robots. The Breachers also help there, and then using the Rust Stalkers to they're more of a precision, whereas these guys are more brute force. And then this is just a fast option. The advance and charge, the advance and fall back built into them makes it so that we don't really need to use Halo Override on any of these units back here. Like, none of the Ballistari chickens need Halo Override because they can do everything that they want on their data sheet. Honestly, I would be looking to put that Halo Override on things like the Disintegrators or on the Rust Stalkers or on the Breachers. The robots will always have it, so we don't have to worry there. But yeah, that's why I kind of bring them, because these units can do a lot. They work very well with the crit 5s. They have the built-in data tether, and they have built-in advance and shoot or advance and charge, which makes it so that the best parts of Halo Override we don't need to use, and we can focus on making these other units that much better. Some things I'm thinking about changing. Again, I really like the Ballistari, but they're very, very swingy anti-tank, and I kind of want to bring in another 3 breachers. So certainly some of them would go. The Taraxi I know I should keep. In fact, I should probably expand if I really want to focus on scoring. But, I mean, we're not trying to do the move block of AdMech list in the past, kind of like Rad Cohort does. So they lose a lot of that utility, but they're really good for like scoring points in the backfield. So right now I'm sticking with them. But again, there could be some changes. Like I said, maybe some more breachers, less Ballistari, maybe more Dragoons, less Taraxi. And again, the Rust Stalkers, I need to see more from them. I'm going to try to get some more games in, but they're a difficult unit to make work, and you have to be aware that they're almost like a one-use destroy what you need to, because the second they get tagged, they're going down. So you got to watch out for that. So this has been my updated Haloscreed list. Let me know what you think. Just a programming note: tomorrow Tau will be released for Grotmas, so we will have a video out tomorrow morning going over our hot takes. So make sure you tune in, like and subscribe for more. Go ahead and leave a comment what you think about this in the comment section down there, and come back again for some more Wounded on Sixes.